Gerard Mayo in Orlando spoke to some members of the media today and said the following about the draft. Obviously, quarterback is definitely a priority. With that being said, we're still open to any type of deals that come our way. We're very far into the process, but we still have a long way to go. Definitely feel like we have time to really nail down our prospects in who we are going to go after. All right, we got Chris Gasper in studio here in Needham, and we got Tommy Curran coming to us from the owners' meetings in Orlando. Do you think this is another log on the fire, Tom? We'll start with you. It's a fait accompli. They're taking this quarterback.
I do. I think it's, it's their default position, and they would have to be moved off their spot somehow. And as you alluded to in your open, the lack of Elliott Wolf, the de facto GM here in Orlando, where it is probably the best place to try and construct any kind of a face-to-face construct of a trade proposal, means to me that they're not prioritizing the opportunity to trade down from 3. I mean, the framework of a deal would easily be hatched here where all the other GMs are. The Patriots are GM-less.
Okay, why do you think he's not there?
I wonder if it somehow has to do, Mike and Chris, with the lack of a title so far and the fact that you have not named a GM. I did not pin it down. We will try and do so Tuesday when we talk to Robert Kraft directly, but also with Gerard Mayo. I was speaking briefly with Stacey James, the VP of Media Relations, when he mentioned that he's not there. I said, well, that means they're not trading down, huh? He goes, no, it means they're out there working on prospects. And it was jokingly. He wasn't being a smartass, but I think that what their defense or explanation will be is that, hey, there's a lot more work to do than spending 2 days in Orlando in meetings.
All right, Chris, so do you agree with Tom that this is another indication they're sticking at 3, taking the quarterback at 3, and if they're not looking to trade down at 3, you actually agree with that? You don't want them trading down?
Yeah, I don't want them trading down. I agree with Tom. I think that is, as he's put it, so well, their default position. I find that this front office, at least, is sort of deliberate. I think they're also circumspect. I think they'll look at everything. That position could change over the next month. And you have to remember the pro days for Drake May and Jaden Daniels at UNC and LSU are coming up this week. So maybe that's something they're trying to prioritize. I know they were at Caleb Williams' pro day. And again, that's not all that, sort of unfamiliar. There were years that Bill skipped the pro day, skipped the owners' meetings to go to pro days and do stuff like that. So, I know, again, he was the coach, but he also was basically the de facto GM. So I don't think it's a huge deal, but I do think they're leaning towards the quarterback at this point, and that's what I think they should do. Because, look, I don't know how many swings you're going to get up this high, and it's probably going to take multiple swings to be able to find a successor, a rightful heir to Tom Brady.
All right, here's a list of quarterbacks drafted in the top 3 over the last 25 years who have made it to the Super Bowl with the team that drafted them. The draft is only 7 quarterbacks long, and of those 7, just 2 actually won the Super Bowl. The others, Burrow, Goff, Newton, Ryan, and McNabb all got there just one time. It's worth noting Matthew Stafford did win a Super Bowl, but signed with his second team to do so. So, Tommy Curran, this is sort of the reason why you think the Patriots should not be going quarterback there at 3, correct?
Yeah, I just kind of did a deep dive on it because I understand, and I think we all do, the teams that are drafting in the top 5, especially the top 3, usually suck out loud. And as a result, the players that they bring in don't necessarily suck, but the situation is so bad that it exposes the suck. So with all those, I mean, imagine that, 36 different players. And we have people in this market who talk consistently about the Patriots have to get back to competing for and winning Super Bowls. Sorry, but if you pick in the top 3, you're not going to get a quarterback to take you to the Super Bowl. It doesn't happen, certainly to win it. Because look at all those guys, over 36 guys taken, 7 have done it, and all of them who won or got there were number 1s, except for, I believe, Matt Ryan, who was a 2. And there might have been somebody else in there who was a 3. But you're generally going to more often than not get Sam Darnold and Blake Bortles than you are Matt Ryan or Eli Manning.
What's your counter to that, Chris?
My counter would be just maybe some of that, look, we're looking at it historically, which is a smart thing to do, but also the rules have sort of changed, haven't they? And you're looking at Joe Burrow, and I know C.J. Stroud hasn't gone to a Super Bowl, but he put that team in the playoffs, and he was the number 2 overall pick. So the rules are more slanted towards quarterbacks than ever, and I think a quarterback can make a difference. And yes, you can look at it within the top 3. You can also look at, hey, 3rd quarterback taken. Well, Justin Herbert was the 3rd quarterback taken in his draft in 2020. and there's a new coach there. They're going to do some different stuff. I don't think anybody looks at it and says Justin Herbert is the problem with the Chargers. I agree with Tom. You are going to a bad team. There's no question about that. But I do think that the quarterback can have more of an impact on it than ever, just based on the way the rules are in the NFL. So that sample size for me has to be maybe the last 10 years, not the last 30 years.
Do the last 10 years. The best quarterback in football was taken 10th overall by a team that had the 25th pick, Kansas City. They moved up to take Patrick Mahomes. Justin Herbert went to a team, I think he was the 6th overall pick, if I'm not mistaken. You'll correct me.
Yeah, he was.
But he went to a team with Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, stocked with really good offensive players. The Patriots are literally a bad team and have to look in the mirror and realize that's what they are and say, Drake, it's not you. You might be really good. We're so bad, we can't sustain you. So that is the bigger vision.
Well, to me, what that boils down to is playing them. So you can draft a guy. You're sitting at 3. There's good quarterbacks there. You should probably take one. If it's if you need a quarterback and it's a good year for him, take one. No problem. But you don't have to play him. And that's sort of where I've been from the start. Mayo also spoke today, and this is my problem with who they use as their bridge quarterback. Mayo talked today about the signing of Jacoby Brissett, a guy like Jacoby. He's a great leader. Everyone loves him. To get him back in the building is definitely helpful for us. And honestly, look, he could absolutely be our starter this year. We'll have to see. Like I said, we're not dead set at taking a quarterback at 3, but we do feel like we have a good guy in Jacoby ready to go. So, Tommy, I'd feel better about the whole thing if they had a stronger, more viable bridge guy that could sort of keep the kid at bay or keep the fans at bay. And, if the worse you are, the more the fans and everyone's calling for the kid, and the more, not just fans and media, the coach, the GM, these guys want to keep these jobs. 3-14. You are tempted to play that kid because everyone wants you to, and it's a popular thing to do. And the better your bridge guy, the less likely you are to rush the kid. So that's my problem with the whole approach that they've had.
And I came around to seeing things your way. Although Jacoby Brissett isn't the guy that I'd love to see for a year, I thought that Justin Fields was someone that, as I thought about it more and more, to bring him in for a year, what's the harm? So maybe you don't sign him to a contract and you lose him. You're going to get a compensatory pick. They didn't do that. So trying to make people digest 17 games of Jacoby Brissett is difficult, especially with no hope on the sidelines. I would say this, if you bring in a rookie quarterback and say we can't use him, you're giving up 1 year of one of the most important economic factors in sports. And maybe watching Bill Belichick and the Kraft family operate for the last 25 years, I've become too maybe attuned to the financial aspects, but looking at that saying, you're wasting your money. Don't go ahead and waste 1 year of his rookie contract. Get the tackle, get the wide receiver, then have him parachute in.
I just don't know why we're worried about money. I mean, the Packers said
because it's a cap.
Oh, well,
it's a cap.
It's a borderline cap. Why don't you just worry about getting the good players and figuring it out? The Green Bay Packers put their guy on the bench for 3 years. Yes, Chris?
Yeah, I just want to make a point here, too. I think also you can't just assume. Look, I agree. I agree with Tom. They're not really set up to be able to support a rookie quarterback. But at some point, you have to get a quarterback, right? And I think they want to come out of this draft with a quarterback. Say what you will about him, okay? But, I mean, Trevor Lawrence had about as bad of a rookie year as you can possibly have. That did not ruin him. The next year, the team went to the playoffs. We don't know what he ultimately is going to be, but that was a train wreck of a situation, and it didn't completely ruin him. The next year, they make the playoffs. He has one of the biggest comebacks in playoff history there. So I don't want to play the guy right away. But I also look at it and say, somewhere along the line, you have to get this quarterback, and it might not be the perfect situation, but if you're waiting for the perfect situation to get the quarterback, you might never get the quarterback.